I am recording this today, the day that I woke up to the news the Doctor Who Christmas special has been cancelled. What? I'm very confused. I might leave this mostly unedited. What? Why? How? When? What happened to the potential scripts of this show? I've got, stuff that I want to talk about, and I've got articles that I want to read of Doctor Who. So this might be some part edited, but yeah. I woke up to it, basically seeing the post that said, "Well, Doctor Who Christmas special cancelled." Or no, it was the Doctor Who official post that I saw. And it did not mention anything about it being cancelled specifically. It was just, future plans of Doctor Who or something. And so I click on it, thinking, oh, what is this going to be? Are they going to say that, okay, we're going ahead with this news, with the storyline for Christmas time? I saw there was a rumor a while back that they were potentially going to move the Christmas special to be at Easter time. And I was like, well, then that's not a Christmas special, that's an Easter special. And okay, you could rename it as that, but you've already told us we're putting out a Christmas special, blah, blah, blah. And you've also already put on the website, Doctor Who will be back in the Christmas special 2026. That doesn't make sense. What are you doing? So they need to remove that from the website. And as far as I could tell, it was still there yesterday. So, but yeah, also, what are they doing about all the unresolved stuff? See, for me, this is a big sort of a yes and a no. Like I'm both glad of this, but I'm also sad of this as well. Sad of it because this kind of feels like it's almost a soft cancellation. Do you know what I mean? It almost feels like, I know people always talk about the Wilderness years, which was when, I believe it was when Doctor Who was originally cancelled. That's what fans called the Wilderness years, when there was no Doctor Who. Like they said it was going to potentially, I think that was it. They hadn't officially cancelled it, but they said, oh, it'll come back at some point, and then it just never did. That feels like this. That feels like, oh, we're putting it out to tender, which is what the article says. Putting it out to tender, which basically means they're putting it out for other. By the way, this is fresh news. I haven't seen anyone else talk about this, so I don't know, other than seeing these two articles, what other people have been saying about this show, if anybody has been saying anything about it, but about the the news. But when they say about putting out to tender, it's basically other companies are up for bid to take on the show as their own, if that makes sense. So with that being said, who's going to take it up? Is there anyone that's going to take it up? But then they've got to take on all the issues that come along with it. I mean, this is huge fuel for people that absolutely detest Doctor Who and have been saying, RIP Doctor Who for years, that they hate it, that, it should have been cancelled ages ago, or it should have been, Doctor Who was last on after Capaldi, blah, blah, blah. All the absolute tosh, absolute rubbish that people talk about Doctor Who. And don't get me wrong, I do get the criticism for Doctor Who as of late, because the newest series, the RTD2, was good for some of it, but this is what I've always thought, is it was enjoyable, but the writing just didn't hit the nail on the head for me. It felt very off for some parts, or they just tried ramming in, like, I know a lot of people say that Doctor Who has always had a lot of modernisms in it. It's always had these things that are in the story, but this newer series almost felt like they tried purposely just jamming into a story where it didn't quite make sense. Like a lot of the stuff to do with, is it not Space Babies? What was the the first special they did with the fluffy creature? Sorry. The first special they did with the fluffy creature guy. I've completely forgotten. Anyway, it was the first David Tennant special. And in that one, there was a lot of lines in that I felt were really jarring for the way the Doctor is, for the way the show has always kind of been put across, for me at least. It felt like they tried to put in a certain type of thought process that was different to anything that they'd done previous. I don't know. It just felt very different. Yeah, so I didn't really like that one too much. And I made mention of that when I did the reaction. And I'm still trying to process my thoughts on this because it feels very weird that the Christmas special has been cancelled. It's not the story, like as in Doctor Who itself. The stories of Doctor Who, they've not been cancelled, you know. It's still going ahead with other media of Doctor Who, like audiobooks and the BBC, CBBC, or the CBeebies series is still going ahead, which, you know, so it also annoys me because I saw Russell's post on Instagram and I feel very sort of like a love-hate relationship with Russell because I want to like his work because I loved RTD1, all the work he did with the, you know, the David Tennant episodes and that. I loved all that stuff, but then the new series, whilst it's been enjoyable for me and I have loved every second of it, there has been those moments where we've gone, what? What do you mean? Like there was moments in, there was the whole Ruby storyline was messed up with the signpost just appearing when that was never a point in the plot. The whole mother storyline thing was just incredibly non-convoluted, but also it convoluted the plot. It made the plot completely meaningless because not the mother coming into it, I don't mean that, but the way they resolved the story with saying that she was just a normal person didn't make any sense for the rest of the story, and the whole signpost mention didn't make any sense. There was the snow appeared. Apparently they kind of resolved some of the questions that we had around this stuff. I can't remember what I'm sure there was a reason why they said the snow had appeared. Was it because she was around the TARDIS or something, and so that there was some explanation, I'm fairly sure, and I might have mentioned it in the video, but these are my very, very fresh thoughts on this, by the way, because I just needed to talk about it. When they went ahead with the ending of season 2, so I know that was, I've been talking about season 1, and also there was the Ruby thing where she's got the music notes wrapping around her, and we're told, oh, she's got the secret song inside herself, or something like that. That's never resolved. We've got in season 2, and also mentioned in season 1, we've got, or I say season 1 and season 2, you know what I mean? The newest of the Who stuff in Ncuti Gatwa's era. We've got Susan. Susan's completely unresolved. You know, she comes back into it, which, you know, I'm so glad they did bring it back in. But now, according to this article, not only RTD is gone, Bad Wolf is also going, which is hilarious to me because the whole point in their brand, Bad Wolf, was linked to Doctor Who. And so now if Bad Wolf is going to go off, are they going to rename themselves? Are they still going to be a production company? Because they do other shows. But are they still going to be called Bad Wolf? Like, that kind of doesn't make sense if they're then not going to be the ones that are making Doctor Who. It baffled me when I thought about this before. And that was when I didn't hear the news today. It was when, prior to this, when I heard that they were potentially going to step away or something. But yeah, they just... But I just saw the news this morning, like, wait, what? At first I wasn't sure if it was this is our future plans for Doctor Who as in good news stuff, you know, we're planning a series next year, the Christmas special is going to be coming up, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's a complete cancellation altogether, which is just very strange. Well, I say complete cancellation altogether, sorry, I mean complete cancellation for the Christmas special. And I know people are going to be out there going, okay, that this means that the whole show is cancelled in general. No, I don't know. I mean, I do get what you mean by, you know, all of the news that's surrounding Doctor Who at the moment does kind of is very much replicating exactly what happened back when it first got cancelled, when it first just didn't ever come back to the screen. Is that going to be what's happening? I hope not. I mean, you know, for the channel and that, I you know, we've got Classic Who that we're going through at the moment, so we're all sorted. But I really want to see New Who come back. I like Doctor Who. I want to see the show carry on and do its thing. And this is the thing, I love Doctor Who. And I've loved it ever since 2005 when it first came out. When it first renewed and came out. I followed it ever since then because I saw Rose, the episode, when it came out on air on TV. And I was a huge fan of it, and I still am now. But there's certain things that have just kind of marred it over the years. And then there's the real toxic side of the fan base. They're not fans. If they hate the show that much and they put it down so much, they're not fans. They're just haters of the show that just hate watch it and then give their hateful review of it. And it's disgusting that that's a thing. But anyway, all of that aside, let's read this and then I'll give you my second thoughts on everything. So the BBC announced, it said, today we're announcing an update on plans for the future of Doctor Who as part of securing the next phase of the show for future generations and in line with the BBC's charter and agreement, blah, 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 blah. So the BBC will put Doctor Who out to competitive tender this year. Doctor Who remains an important part of the BBC, and this tender underpins the BBC's continued commitment to Doctor Who, ensuring audiences will enjoy the show for years to come. After careful consideration, the BBC, Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf have collectively decided not to go ahead. So we already knew that RTD wasn't going to, be continuing, but we didn't necessarily know for sure whether or not Bad Wolf was going to disappear or not, or, be disconnected from Doctor Who in general, but it appears so. They decided not to go ahead with the previously announced Doctor Who Christmas episode. Christmas special is what they mean. I don't know why they labelled it like that. I know it's one episode, but it's a special. It's not just an episode. The decision was not taken lightly, and we know it will be disappointing for fans, but in order to set up the show for future series, it was decided that rather than bridge the gap with a one-off special, we are choosing to push forward to invest in the long-term future of the show, which ensures that when the TARDIS lands once more, notice that they say it like that, makes it sound like it's going to disappear for years and eventually come back in however many years. When the TARDIS lands once more, it does so in all its glory. Now, please don't get me wrong. There's a little bit more to this article, but if they did just not bring the show back for a little bit, I wouldn't be entirely annoyed, okay? Because I know as of late, it has been convoluted, very badly written. It's just been, chucking out meaningless stories, just churning out stuff, very Marvel-esque, to be fair, with them being attached to Disney originally, or for that period of time. Honestly, I think the Disney deal was one of the worst things they could have done because they focused more on visuals than they did story. Because yes, okay, it looked fantastic, but the story underneath it all was mostly absolute pants. I think one of the best stories they did, which didn't involve any of that stuff, didn't really involve visuals, was 73 Yards. Still one of my favourites. I'm actually going to be making the TARDIS you see in the background just there. I'm actually, it's a project to myself that I haven't even started working on yet, but I'm making that into a 73 Yards TARDIS. I'm doing it up to make it look like one. I haven't started working on it yet, but I will do at some point. Maybe I won't. I don't know, but I'd like to. That was a plan as a little project to myself. Anyway, there's been so many things over the time that has just been so off with New Who. And then they even wrote into the show about the hate for Doctor Who. When we saw the fans and the girl said, what was it? #RIP Doctor Who. Don't put that stuff in your show. Don't put that utter drivel in your show. If you love the fans, if you love the good fans, because I think Russell just sees everyone as a hater. I'm sure he does, because there was comments of go touch grass in season 1 with Ncuti Gatwa. I think was it Ncuti Gatwa that said that, or was it RTD? But one of them said go touch grass anyway. Then there was the there was the mentions of, there's been multiple mentions as of recently where Ncuti Gatwa said, because he was on another UK show, the SNL UK show, each to their own, you might find it funny, but I don't. That aside though, I saw someone screenshotted what he'd said. He said something about, not many Doctor Who fans watching the show. Was it more people have watched that show than they did Doctor Who when he was on it or something? So I know they've both said certain things, and I'm still wondering whether or not, I wonder if Ncuti Gatwa left because of the tensions inside Bad Wolf and the BBC to do with Doctor Who. But I also think it's because of ratings. I wonder if it's because of ratings and because RTD's stories, not necessarily because of why Ncuti left, but also because of why RTD left. It's because of ratings. They thought it was going to be fantastic, but RTD's stories and the whole of Doctor Who at the current time made them lose the Disney deal. And so they said, you know what? We want to wipe our hands of you once this is done and dusted. Go forth and do your own thing that's not Doctor Who. Maybe. That's just my opinion. Maybe that's what happened. Anyway, I'll continue this and then I'll briefly talk about the Instagram post, which I just found weird. You'll see it in a second. Anyway, this says, the previously announced new Doctor Who animation series for CBeebies is currently in production. Yay. Like, I don't want that. I understand it's for kids. Yeah, great. Do the show for kids and that. But that's not good news for everyone else. Any other fan base person, the show might be decent. You never know. But it's a kids show. So it's not for us, is what I mean. Details of the tender will be announced in due course. The BBC retains all IP. They then went on to mention about the IP of Doctor Who, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, in case maybe they thought fans would then take this as news that they could just do whatever they want with Doctor Who. I suppose they're just stating it at the end just for clarity to say, look, we still own this, so we are still planning to do something with it. But they are. They're still earning money from their, the merch and from everything else that's kind of span off of it. And what's hilarious is Doctor Who, the Christmas special, has been cancelled, but yet The War Between the Land and the Sea hasn't even aired on Disney yet. Here's the post by Russell T Davies. And this is why you'll see, it just feels very off to me. It feels like there's some very snide comments made in there to get back at fans. Because Russell's already said that he hates X/Twitter. I call it Twitter. He's already said that he hates that. And the social media is just a hate-filled cesspool, basically. I can't remember the specific words he said, but he said something similar to that. Anyway, it was a drawn picture of a TARDIS saying vroom, from what I remember. And it says, and so goodbye from me to Doctor Who, but hello to a big new future for the show, as the BBC announces it's putting the show out to tender. And honestly, when I first read that, I thought they were saying it's putting the show out to pasture. Basically meaning that's it. That's the end of the show. Bye-bye, go away now, kind of thing. Anyway, putting the show out to tender. As a result, there won't be a Christmas special. And this isn't the bit that I'm annoyed at, but this is the bit I was like, what? What do you mean? So he says, we only cooked that up to guarantee a future that no one knew what would happen. He does go on from there, but we only cooked that up. What, as in, I'm not entirely sure if he's saying that they made up the idea that there was going to be a Christmas special. I am thinking he meant it. They had this idea for a Christmas special, so they put it to the BBC. The BBC liked the idea for it, so they concocted this idea of a Christmas special up and put that forward as an idea only, not as anything concrete, because it then goes on later in the post. I'm going to read the whole thing, but it goes on later in the post to mention about there was no script, which I'll get to. But he says, we only cooked that up to guarantee a future that when no one knew what would happen, but now we do know, there's no need for it. You'll have to wait a bit longer for new Doctor Who, but you'll be waiting for more Doctor Who than a one-off, so it's worth it. For the record, there was no script. I never wrote it. And no actor was ever approached to play the next Doctor. What do you mean that there was no script? Like, he said this is where I think that maybe the whole idea that he'd like come up with was what he gave to the BBC, as in just from his brain, and he just went, oh, this is a great idea, why don't we do this as a Christmas special? Great, cool, I'll shoot the ending with Billie Piper, you know, that's unresolved. Then we've got Carol Ann Ford's role is unresolved. Then we've got like a bunch of other things that's unresolved. Oh, and you've got the Bi-Generation with David Tennant just lounging around a garden with the second TARDIS. That's unresolved, because if all this team is leaving, you're not going to have an answer to all of that stuff unless they decide to then bring back Billie Piper. Or I still wonder if maybe they could do it where they have Billie Piper, oh, hello, like that, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, she you know, comes back from that to whoever the next Doctor is. You know, like Matt Smith and Capaldi, when Matt Smith regenerated like that into Capaldi, into Capaldi, and it was a split second, just like a kind of thing, and he just appeared. Maybe they could do that, you know, oh, hello, into the next Doctor. But then, who was Rose there just briefly? Was Billie Piper there just briefly to just say, hello, fans, and they're back again? Are you going to explain that? You could explain that away with being like the faces of the past coming back to haunt me kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, he goes on from this. This is fresh thoughts again, so apologies if this isn't all correct. And it's my thoughts of, you know, where I am in the in Doctor Who's storyline itself, like with classic Who. And even though I've seen modern Who, I feel like there's so many more people out there that know a lot more about Doctor Who than I do. And so some of the stuff that I say might not be completely accurate with how things are in you know, in stories of Doctor Who or whatever. Anyway, it goes on. But you'll be waiting for more than Oh, sorry, I read that bit already. That was it. For the record, there was no script. I never wrote it, and no actor was ever approached to play the Doctor. So this is the other thing I also was going to say about is Murray Gold mentioned at some point or another that there was multiple iterations or something, he said, like multiple iterations or multiple versions or something of the script. Because I remember there being the thing of some people were saying, you know, that both Billie Piper and David Tennant were in the script as like I think that was a rumor though, that they were there as like if we can't get one because Billie Piper's filming, apparently that's the reason why she wouldn't have been available. I think that was some of it as well. They kind of scrambled around going, oh my God, we've come up with this idea, but now everyone's busy. Well, we can't do it. What do? We're going to have to cancel it or push it back a bit. But don't make it as concrete unless you have it, you know, in the bag, ready. I don't know. Very preemptive with this, they were. But yeah, Murray Gold had said that there were multiple iterations of the script. I don't think he would have lied about that. So were there? Is Russell just lying? Completely lying? I mean, he's not on the show anymore. He could say whatever he wanted. He could say that everyone is, are awful human beings. But still, anyway, it goes on from there and it says, you may disagree, fine. Sit in that chair and wait to be proved right. See, it just feels very snide. I'll read it from before that when he says about the Doctor Who script, though. He says, for the record, there was no script. I never wrote it, and no actor was ever approached to play the Doctor. You may disagree. Fine, sit in that chair and want to be proved right. You'll wait a long time. And it's the way he's put that. You can almost sense the hate behind it. Not the hate, but just like how much he knows how vitriolic the fan base, some fans or some of the bad crowd can be. And so he's saying that to get back at all the hate that they've given him over the years. Anyway, then he says, now I'm as excited as anyone to see what comes next. Will they keep the theme tune? Well, I presume so, yes, it's Doctor Who. Will they lose the blue box? Probably not, because that's what makes Doctor Who Doctor Who. If it was a phone box, it would be Bill and Ted. Do you know what I mean? That's basically where they got the idea from that. But will they bring back the Dravin? It's all up for grabs, which is so Doctor Who. Exciting and unpredictable and new. Here comes the future. Whoop, whoop. I don't know what to think of it. I almost feel disheartened and I feel depleted of energy just thinking about I can sense now how things, and you've probably seen it already, because I'll be putting this video into the Classic Who video that I'm putting out in a bit. But you'll have probably seen the hate already surrounding it and saying, Doctor Who is cancelled. Way. Doctor Who isn't cancelled. Don't worry, okay? At least for the time being, we don't think it's cancelled, and there is still hope. I almost want to go into, because I know of, well, it's the quote that we've already heard. You know, the bit from William Hartnell at the end of the Dalek Invasion of Earth. I almost want to say that. That feels very apt for going forth. Yeah, one day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. That was from the end of the Dalek Invasion of Earth, which is one of my favourite storylines. We've just watched that on the channel as of a few storylines back. So yeah, this is just like an update on things. I don't want you guys to be saddened at the news. It is sad. It is a very sad piece of news that we're not going to get the Christmas special, but it's not sad overall because we are still going to get the show back at some point. Hopefully. It's just for the time being, because they're having a change around of everyone behind the scenes and not having time to do the new story. It makes sense. Like if Russell and if RTD and Bad Wolf are going to go at the end of this anyway, it kind of makes sense. Okay, like if they've already told him, you know, get out of the door once you've done this. No wonder he didn't write the scripts. He was probably annoyed at them for saying no, write this and then you can go. So almost to almost stick two fingers up at them, he probably just didn't write it. And then when they said, okay, where is it? He probably went, well, I've not got anything. So then had to make a decision on this. So yeah, it's not bad news. It's, you know, I still think it is in somewhat good news in some ways. Gives them a little more time to, you know, figure out the issues they had on the previous seasons, to fix where the show was going and what was going wrong with the show that fans didn't like. And because it's not just, you know, it's not just the hateful people that, you know, have been saying stuff about Doctor Who. It's also the fans that love Doctor Who, like me, like probably you guys, that love Doctor Who, that have been thinking it's not great, like it's enjoyable, it's still a great piece of TV, but there's something not connecting, that the writing isn't connecting. There just feels like there's no underlying passion behind it. Hopefully we'll get some great things coming in the future. At least hopefully we'll get some better writing. But then we did say the same, because this is the thing, I utterly love Jodie Whittaker's portrayal of the Doctor, but the writing that made her Doctor what it is wasn't great. Like, I love Jodie Whittaker's Doctor because I've got a picture there, signed picture of Jodie Whittaker, and she's fantastic. Yeah, I was trying to think what her line was. You know, brilliant. Her phrase was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, fantastic was Christopher Eccleston's Doctor. Yeah, so yeah, going from Christopher Eccleston's Doctor in 2005 all the way through to now, it's been a great run, depending on what's happening. But don't worry. Like, once I'm planning on still doing a lot of Classic Who, okay? So you'll still have Classic Who's here with me. And then anything that I can think of, you know, Modern Who-wise, if there is anything, then we'll also look at that as well at some point in the future. But for now, we've got some incredible storylines coming up, and I'm excited. But yeah, that's it from me just filling you in on this piece of information. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Do not forget to click below to subscribe to the YouTube channel.